We are living in crazy, crazy times, people. Just to catch up on the situation over the last few days, Daniel Bryan maybe going to AEW, CM Punk maybe going to AEW, The Rock maybe going back to WWE, and when we talk about Impact Wrestling, it does seem like we're about to do the Elite versus the Bullet Club. It's like all our dreams have come true. And I personally love it, and I hope all the promotions and all the companies under the sun benefit from this, because I'm biased towards wrestling. I just want to have a good time. Now we find out if I did have a good time when I watched last night's episode of Impact, because I take my finger of power, it sounds dodgy, I don't mean it to, and I'm going to give the good bits an up, and I'm going to give the bad bits a down. You won't disagree, then we'll get into a fight, but we always hug and make up because we're in love. Let's up those downs. So yeah, we are now teasing a brand new member of the Bullet Club being crowned within Impact Wrestling. The very first thing we saw was Rohit Raju and Chris Bay arguing with each other, going, "Oh, you screwed me over at the pay-per-view," when Rohit threw a t-shirt at Chris and said, "Get your clothes out of my face." And what was the logo on the t-shirt? Bullet Club. You shouldn't have needed me to tell you that, it was quite obvious. It then led to a match between the two, and because both are bad guys, at first they kind of tried to out-trick one another, but because we have super-duper plans for Chris Bay, I suppose he was kind of moved into the babyface position, or at least here, Rohit was being more of a dick. Because he had Shearer help him out of ringside before he started to go to work over Chris Bay, but then they just started to trade back and forth. I thought we saw clotheslines, I thought we saw big boots, I think we saw a famouser, I think we saw a diving elbow off the top rope. Don't know why I say think, because I saw it with my eyes. And then Chris Bay went into like Matrix mode and just started dodging everything before he hit the art of finesse out of nowhere. He got the 3 count, and I tell you, by everything I do know, won't tell you at the moment, Impact Wrestling about to push him to the moon. And we had proof of that straight afterwards, because Chris Bay found himself in the backstage area where Jay White went up to him and said, "Hey, you found my t-shirt, why don't you join the Bullet Club?" And because Christopher is a bit of a crazy person, he was like, "Man, I don't work well with others." And Jay was like, "Well, how has that been helping you so far? Don't forget, this has an expiration date." So now we planted the seeds. Is Chris Bay going to become a brand new member of Bullet Club? I mean, he better do, otherwise he will be a right maniac. But all of this, getting it up. Kenny Omega interview next, or it was meant to be, but instead, as always, we got Don Callis, who really isn't pleased that Switchblade has come to Impact Wrestling. He was like, "Who is this guy? Why didn't he stay in Japan?" And he either wants to join the Elite, or he probably wants to stab somebody in the back, because I don't think very much of him at all. So this really is leveling up, and I kind of think inter-promotional warfare may be about to explode, and there are yet more mumblings that there is going to be a huge announcement soon. Imagine we get a pay-per-view where it's like New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, and a bunch of others. I swear, I will just lie down and scream, because I'm a very weird individual. Mickie James was then back in Impact Wrestling, and just take everything I said and copy and paste it here. Who the hell is going to come through that forbidden door next? James was out here, though, to kind of apologise to Deonna Purazzo, because they did get into it at Slammiversary, and say, let's forget about that, because I really do want you to be at NWA's Empower event. I think you're great, I think you're the best, and I think you make the show even better than it already is. Deonna wasn't really fine with this, because she still felt offended by what happened a few days ago, so said to Mickie James, "Well, if you really do want me there, you better apologise." And because people just keep coming out when you least expect it, then Gail was here too. She also went to work on Deonna Purazzo, but the best thing about all of it is that we were making the Knockouts champion sound like she was the greatest professional wrestler on earth. And that's what you should be doing with these stars that you are trying to get to the top. Have people in the past who have also been super duper mega stars going, "Wow, you're so great, you're so amazing, everybody should want to be you." We also made sure to remind everyone she beat Thunder Rosa at the pay-per-view, and what a victory that was. And eventually, of course, Deonna Purazzo's ego couldn't take anymore, so she said, "Of course I'll be at the event." All of this was very well done and leaned on the legends from the past up. And another video for the Drama King, because the former Aiden English is definitely coming to Impact Wrestling soon, and I certainly approve of that one. When we went into a match that was Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green, and Jake Something taking on Tennille Dashwood, Brian Myers, and Sam Beal. So it's kind of like a mismatch from everything we had seen at Slammiversary. But look, all these guys do have beef with one another. So at least it made sense. Our heroes were on top 2 until Dashwood remembered, wait a minute, it's professional wrestling. Why don't I cause the distraction, which allowed Brian Myers to go to work on his used-to-be best friend, kind of best friend, who knows, maybe a best friend. But that really didn't work out well at all, because he beat him up for maybe around 8 seconds. Then Matt Cardona got the hot tag to Chelsea Green. All the men took each other out when someone from somewhere hit the let's go crazy button, because Caleb with a K was up on the apron because he too was trying to cast distraction, because again, professional wrestling. When Taylor Wilde returned to the promotion, she attacked Tenille Dashwood. That meant Tenille then got hit by the Imprinter, courtesy of Chelsea Green. And once again, for like the 3rd, 4th, 5th night in a row, Chelsea Green won. Now, there were so many bodies involved in this, I'm surprised it didn't get more time. We really did hit the fast forward button. I suppose our next feud is going to be Tenille Dashwood versus Taylor Wilde. And it certainly was entertaining, because it was just go, 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 up. W. Morrissey and Eddie Edwards then just had a massive brawl in the parking lot, because Eddie was like, you think you beat me at the pay-per-view, but you didn't. You had to cheat to win. And if you want to do that, why don't you come into my house and I'll smack you in the face with a stick. And they did use that too, as well as traffic cones. A cooler, I think, got involved at one point, and there was a trash can. And when Eddie Edwards did have his hands on his trusty kendo stick, he kind of slapped W. Morrissey so hard that he ran away. And they're going to be fighting again at some pay-per-view in the future. And I'm sure lots of people enjoyed this well, and these two dudes did hit each other really, really hard in the face. But I don't know what it is. There's a disconnect here for me. And I suppose that's just what's going to happen when you watch a lot of professional wrestling. But I didn't emotionally connect. Let's get it down. Brian Myers and Tenille Dashwood then broke up. I mean, shucks. How long did that last? Like 2 weeks? Couldn't even get it together. But Dashwood basically told Myers she doesn't want to team with him anymore, because as a unit, they are now 0 for 2, and she absolutely does blame him. She also tried to put more blame on Taylor Wilde, so I presume that kind of explains why Taylor Wilde's been away for a while. I don't have a clue. And Sam Beer was like, don't worry, boss. Don't worry, Dad. I will go out and I will find you a brand new partner. So who the hell knows who that's going to be? Jay White was then on the show. Aren't we just having the best time ever? We got to see what happened after Slammiversary with that weird production snafu that they did have, even though apparently it was meant to go off air that way. And the short version is that he beat up FinnJuice, because that's why he has come to Impact Wrestling. He's got a big New Japan match against David Finlay, and he heard that this is where he is, so he came to beat him up. He wasn't done though, as there's another group of people that are also pissing him off, and they are called the Elite, because he's seen them swanning around the place, sweeting everyone, thinking that they're the Bullet Club, when really they are definitely in position number 2, if not 791st. He kept laying into them until Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the Good Brothers did arrive, and they massively disagreed with this. In fact, they think ever since this troupe have left the BC is not only a pile of crap, but filled with mid-carders. Callis then said that if Jay wants to save his career, he should jump ship. So Jay White went, wait a minute, let's go back to the past. The last time your boy Ken was in New Japan, I believe he lost to someone. Oh yeah, it was me, so I basically chased him out of the promotion. This was sold like the biggest insult that Kenny Omega had ever received in his damn life, so him and Don Callis did leave. But of course, Gallows and Anderson went in the ring. They kept throwing barbs at each other until they got into a massive fight. But this meant that somebody had to come and save Jay White because of the numbers game. And of course, ties into the start of the show, it was Christopher Bay. They cleared the ring together, so this thing is absolutely ongoing. And like I've said once, I'll say it twice, maybe even thrice, he has to become the new member of the Bullet Club. And what plans we have after that, I don't know, but I do know I am damn excited. And that continued on too, because we then got a tease that maybe Kenny Omega is going to take on Josh Alexander. And I'm sorry, you have to be a loon not to want that match. Because Josh was cutting a promo here just saying how great he's been as the X Division champion, when Kenny Omega and Don Callis just barged past him and essentially said, you're nothing but a secondary lightweight champion. Now look, Kenny Omega is one of the best, if not the best wrestlers in the world. Josh Alexander continues to get better every single week. So somehow we need to will this into the existence. Thank you, please. We then kind of had a half rematch from Slammiversary, because at there, FinnJuice had beaten Madman, Fulton, and Shearer. Now, the Madman and Shearer don't get along, so Fulton was like, look, let me team with my real friend, Ace Austin, and I'll give you what for? And then that absolutely fell down because he still lost, but up. Being the smaller guy, Austin got his face smashed in for a while, but he too just has these crazy maneuvers where he's able to transition and move out the way. And then, of course, he tagged in Madman Fulton, and because he's much bigger than everyone, he started chucking everyone around. He focused on Finley mostly, but you just knew deep down in your tum-tum and deep down in your toes that FinnJuice were never going to lose. They've only just come back to Impact Wrestling and something else is brewing here. So what do you do when you have two teams and you really don't want either of them to be properly defeated? You use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, which Juice Robinson did to Madman Fulton. 1, 2, 3, they're done. It finished with the massive brawl as Shearer and Rohit Raju ran down there to leave FinnJuice laying, so now they're going to have to go out there and find two buddies. I have no idea who the hell that's going to be, but this was standard wrestling stuff, and standard wrestling stuff is fine. We then had some of Impact's bizarre storytelling next, but hey, I've just got used to it now. They're just gonna do whatever the hell they want to do. Because Willie Mack and Rich Swann were laughing that Violent by Design were blaming them for losing the tag team championship at Slammiversary. And I was like, did Violent by Design blame them? Because if they did, I didn't see it. I guess I must have missed something. As they were running their mouths though, all of a sudden the lights went off, and when they came back on, VBD were here and they absolutely wrecked these guys. So there's another feud that we can do down the line. And I just like Violent by Design. I know I say that every single week, but they are a good group with good ideals, and they also visually have a thing going on. They also have terrific entrance music. They just tick a lot of boxes. We also then found out that on next week Impact, we are going to get the big rematch between Moose and Chris Sabin, because do not forget, at Slammiversary, Chris Sabin actually beat Moose. That's why I've shaved my head. I promised I would take off my luscious locks. Moose was so livid about the fact he had lost at the pay-per-view, he went to Scott D'Amore and he's like, oh man, you gotta give me Sabin. So Chris was then there saying, oh man, I want more than a match, I want a fight. So again, we're gonna do that in 7 days. And as a betting man, and as a man who makes guesses, I think Moose will probably rip all of his limbs off. Well, saying that, last time I thought it, I was massively wrong. After securing the tag team titles on the pre-show on Saturday night too, we had Rosemary Havoc coming out here to have a rematch against Fire and Flavor for those belts. At first I was like, man, am I bored of rematches? But actually Impact is planning to tell quite the story here. It all made sense. I'm giving it up. Being the bigger of the teams, Rosemary and Havoc were in charge for a lot of this, but you know how Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steele works. They're like quick boxers. They find the spots they need to get in there, and they throw some jabs, and they throw some punches, and slowly but surely they work you down. They also went for distraction at one point, which we've already noted about 72 times during this video, is always the way to do it, but then there was some serious communication. I think Fire and Flavor may be about to break up. Because later on, Hogan accidentally superkicked Steels right in the face, which allowed Havoc to hit both of them with a double spear and make the pin. So not only are they now out of the tag team division, but they are in for some hard times. Decay was celebrating as Impact went off air, and again, there is something bigger brewing here. The whole point is you're meant to sit your ass down and find out what that's going to be, which we will do, I suppose, in around about the next few weeks. So yeah, there you go, the post-Slammiversary episode of Impact. And man, we are heading to something big. I don't 100% know what it is at the moment, but I do know it's going to involve more than just Impact Wrestling, and that's all good by me, which is why overall, is getting it up. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Impact, and are we building to some kind of inter-promotional crazy pay-per-view? Like the video, share the video, and please do subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com so you can stay up to date with all the wrestling news. Come say hello on social media, and go and watch all the ups and downs, because that's what life wants you to do. My name is Simon for WhatCulture. Thank you for watching me as always, and I will see ya when I see ya.